So this is another really good follower. He's actually a sexual harassment, sexual abuse expert, and he is. Hold on one second. So here it is. So Professor Zenkis, he's Anthony Zenkis. He's a sexual abuse and sexual harassment expert. He's done a very good job of putting the voice out there for putting a voice out there for Tara Reid, and saying her name, and kind of giving her a lot more of the publicity that she deserved, and giving her support and everything, because obviously he's been in that field, and he's an expert in that field. So but he's definitely gone back and forth with a lot of shit libs and stuff. So his tweet says, if none of the above was a choice, there would be no Republicans or Democrats in national office right now. Yeah, that's so true. The Republicans and Democrats, as many of the leftists that I know, the two-party system is so terrible right now. It's so fractured, and it's so extremely, like, people are just so sick of it. There's people that are so tired of this system that's just a two-party system, and you just have two choices, and that's it, and you have to live with whatever it is. And if you don't like it, you're some sort of like you're some sort of, ironically, you're some sort of anti-democratic, not Democratic Party, but as far as anti-democracy, son of a bitch. And that's crazy. I mean, if the people that claim to be in support of democracy, which is Democrats, they're not really in favor of democracy, because they don't want to have the Green Party. They don't want to have a Libertarian Party. They don't want to have any, whatever, name it, put the name in their party, whatever the name of your party is, People's Party, whatever it is. And a lot of them, pretend to be in favor of democracy, but in reality they're not. They're just in democracy in name only, essentially. Democracy in name only, just like their own name, Democratic in name only. They're just dinos, and they just believe in democracy when it comes to, democracy for themselves, and democracy for the two-party system, so they can just focus on that. On that one boogeyman. They only want to focus on Republicans. They don't want to have to deal with the Green Party from the left and the Republicans from the right. They can't stand it. And then throw in Libertarian Party or whatever, independent, kind of a no labels type party. They can't have that. They don't want to deal with that. And I'm not sure if the Republican Party is against the Libertarian Party being involved, but they have taken part in the process that allows this two-party system to continue, and they are perfectly fine with it. It's just the Democrats are much more vocal in trying to keep out other options, and the reason why that is because they know that their voters, the Democrats know that their voters are they're much more open-minded in the idea of going to other parties. Now, I don't think that's really the case now, because I feel like a lot of Democrats are so hardline Democratic. They're so like, ugh, I love the Democratic Party. I could be wrong on that, but that's the feeling that I get. But that doesn't mean there's more Democrats that are more Democrats in the past, or there's more Democrats now than there was in the past. It's just that the Democrats that have always been Democrats are much more louder and much more vocal. And they're much more, the whole like Russian hacking stuff, like that's really, gotten these people to become much more fucking annoying, and yelling from the rooftops, pretending as if they're standing up for something, and they're claiming some sort of hacking that didn't even fucking occur. So Democrats are much more louder and much more boisterous than they used to be. Let's just put it that way. And unfortunately, that's the truth. But that doesn't mean that they're right, obviously, and that doesn't mean there's more of them. They're just louder. But to be fair, there's a lot more leftists like myself and all the people that I follow and I'm affiliated with. We're a lot more louder than we used to be too. I used to be kind of a Dem loyalist hack myself, and I'm proud to admit it, because I'm not like that no more. Or I'm at least proud to admit that I got away from that. I'm not proud that I was a Dem loyalist, hack or Dem loyalist in general. But I did used to be like that, and I totally evolved and got away from that. And I'm so happy I did. So I know what that's like. I know what the mentality of those people is. I know how they think. I know how they operate. I know that they're just pro whatever Democrats do and anti whatever Republicans do. And then any other, obviously, like I said before, any third party that gets involved, they say fuck you to them, and they don't want to have anything to do with them. They don't even want to reach out to them because they see them as too radical, which is ironic because the Republicans call the Democrats too radical, and the Democrats call the Republicans too radical. Now, that's not. It depends how you look at that. Republicans are very radical in the sense that they want to implement radical policies, and so do Democrats to some regard. But the Democrats are also very, very they're very pragmatic and very moderate and very right wing in many ways. But they're also very radical because they are also pushing for the same fucking endless wars that the Republicans are, and pushing for, in many cases, a lot of the same kind of economic policies that they are too. Whether it's regulations and then deregulations actually, so less regulations. In some cases, in many cases, they believe cutting taxes in many cases. Or at least not raising the tax rate to a higher rate. Not getting rid of loopholes. They're definitely in support of free trade, which is just bullshit. It's like it's not even actually free trade. In reality, it should be fair trade, not free trade. But and those are literal. That's a literal term. Fair trade is literally a term, whereas there's free trade, which is the more conservative, neoliberal corporatist policy. Whereas fair trade is actual fair trade especially when it comes to trading for goods and exports and imports and stuff like that, let alone shipping jobs overseas, which, a lot of the jobs that we have here end up getting shipped to China and fucking Bangladesh and Singapore and who the hell knows where, So, but yeah, free trade is another thing that's a huge liberal, neoliberal corporatist policy that I can't stand. And that's how the Democrats are very much radical in their ways. We're not radical. We might be radical in the sense that we want to change things radically, but we're not necessarily radical. We just believe in things we just believe people deserve to have necessities that they do not have. And they deserve to have them and keep them too. That's the whole point.